This is just to scare you. Of course, you are all scared. We all are scared, and healthcare workers are particularly scared. But it's a customary for me to tell you what is important when you should think that you could be having COVID. We, of course, know the fever, sore throat, body ache. These are the important features of almost somebody has a fever with sore throat, just go and get yourself tested. But there are several other features which are actually pathognomonic of. If you lose your smell and taste today, even if you don't have fever or muscle pain, it is COVID, COVID, and only COVID. If you are feeling cold inside you, but the thermometer is not showing anything, if you have a diarrhea, which you can't relate to having had nasty food or something, if you have a pain abdomen and you are feeling muscle pain, then think of COVID. It all depends upon how much is the prevalence of disease in your place. So if Delhi is concerned, if you have any illness which has these symptoms, you just identify early symptoms, because unless you identify, you will not be protecting your office people, you will not be protecting your family members. COVID test, but at least you will be able to isolate yourself from your nears and dears, so that others are not affected. So now, quickly coming to the diagnosis, we all know about RT-PCR test, and then as we started almost one and quarter years back, this test was not widely available. Very few labs were doing that, and so first I will talk about the rapid antigen test, popularly called as RAT test. This is like sorry for saying that, it's like a pregnancy test. You test your urine and you get it within few minutes. So similarly, this is a card test which is done, which gives you result within a few minutes. But this has a problem, that if the 100 people are suffering from COVID, only 50 will show positive. Rest will show negative. So sensitivity is low. But if the rapid antigen test is positive, you don't have to go for PCR test. The specificity, as we call it, is 100%. Coming to the RT-PCR test, RT-PCR test is the gold standard, the standard of care. But I just want to tell you that it also has a sensitivity of only 70%. That means 30% of the people who actually have COVID will have negative tests, and it has connotations. We know that 60% of transmission is done by mildly symptomatic people, so that somebody who is tested negative will go flouting around saying, "Arey, main to negative hu." But actually, these are the people who are likely to transmit. They'll go back to office thinking that they are negative. So if you have sore throat, fever, if you have contact with some patient, if your PCR is negative, please check it again, at least isolate yourself. And then comes CT scan. I'm sure all of you know. Initially, we used to shout aloud, please don't get CT done, it has got radiation, it is expensive, India can't afford it. But soon enough, we realized that so many people were RT-PCR negative. When we did the CT scan, and one of them was our own radiologist, the CT picked up the findings. So if you, in a given patient on 7th day or 5th day onwards, if the RT-PCR is negative, you do a CT scan, it shows classical features which will tell us that, okay, this is COVID, and COVID only. About the antibodies test, we'll come to it when we talk about plasma therapy and testing of contact. Now, this is important. Suppose you come in contact in your office with a person who has got COVID, who he phones you that, look, I have been tested positive, so please be careful. So what you should do? You should not test yourself on the same day. The incubation period of COVID is 2.5 to 12 days, mean being 5 to 7 days. So you should wait for 5 days or 6 days to get yourself tested, or else if you develop symptoms, whichever is earlier. If you test this before, you would miss it. And if you test on 6th day, and if you are test negative, you will be reasonably certain that you are not affected. or chances of picking up will be faster. So the testing of contacts remains very important. So as far as the management is concerned, of course you know about isolation. I'm not going to talk about it because it's going to take long time. Supportive care is also important. Medicines are also important. Oxygenation I'll be talking about, and you must know the warning signs. If the person is at home diagnosed as COVID, if his oxygen is less than 94%, or he feels breathless, or he becomes drowsy, this is a very particular thing. Particular thing. Suppose somebody chokes me, I'll feel breathless. In a normal person, if the oxygen goes down, the person will become breathless. But COVID patient does not feel breathlessness even when the oxygen goes down. So therefore, it is important to monitor oxygen saturation. So you know that in India, people are running and storing oxygen cylinders. They are running and storing uh, oxygen concentrators. So what is the difference? Oxygen cylinder is the one where the oxygen is stored, where you can give oxygen at a rate that you want. Oxygen concentrator is the equipment which extracts oxygen from the environment. As you know that air contains 80% nitrogen and roughly 20% oxygen. It simply sucks away the nitrogen, and what you get is oxygen. And the limitation is that majority of the oxygen concentrators cannot give oxygen at higher than 5 liters. Now we have advanced concentrator which will give 10 liters, but you can't run a ventilator on this. And of course, hospital has a pressurized oxygen where you can get oxygen at 60 liters, 80 liters per minute. The myth is going around that nebulization can improve the oxygenation, and that's not true. Nebulization is a method of giving aerosol therapy, which you give it to asthma and COPD and sometimes antibiotics also. It does not increase the oxygen. If at all, if you give nebulization, it would reduce the oxygen because you won't be able to give proper oxygenation. So coming to the drugs, what are the drugs? And we know that remdesivir is being sold in black. It is an amazing shortage. Anybody with COVID runs for his life. कहीं से भी remdesivir मिल जाए तो मेरा patient बच जाएगा. But it is true that it is the only antiviral drug which has been found to be useful. It is to be given, and this was in April 29th that this phase 3 trial came, and we came to know that remdesivir is a useful drug if the person is serious. If the oxygen is less than 94% or is in the ICU, he requires remdesivir, but it does not improve the survival. Then subsequently another study came that it improves the outcome in the form of rapid improvement from the symptoms or the disease for that matter, and this led to the recommendation that Americans approved it, but however WHO said no. Remdesivir, hydroxychloroquine, other antiviral drug had little or no effect on overall mortality or hospital stay. However, the American FDA approved the treatment for COVID for remdesivir. So remdesivir continues to be a useful drug in our hospitalized patients. Corticosteroids are the one which actually saves the patient. And you must be knowing your nears and dears. The day they get COVID, they get Medrol or Omnacortil, Visolon, Dexona. These names are known to you. And this was a recovery trial conducted in England which said that it improves the survival. Whichever salt you may use, whether you use dexamethasone or hydrocortisone or Visolon or Medrol as it is called, trade name I should not be taking, it does lead to better survival. But it is important, it is a double-edged sword. If it give it too early, it increases the viral load. So it is important to know when to give, and it should always be given under the supervision. Ivermectin, we all give. I also prescribe it, but the evidence is that it does not have any benefit in improving the outcome or reducing the severity. So, talking about pharmacotherapy, corticosteroids useful, remdesivir useful, tocilizumab is used for most critical care patients. In the red are hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, doxycycline, and azithromycin. They don't do anything. An antifibrotic drug I am not going to talk about because this is little intricate subject. What is important is, as I said, oxygen is most important. Plasma therapy, I will be talking about it because awake proning. When we talk about oxygenation, you must have heard about the televisions are talking about it. What happens that when a person is lying on his back, the weight of the heart causes little collapse of the lower part of the lung. And when you make the person prone, that means he sleeps on a belly and the front of the chest, that weight is taken off. And that leads to better oxygenation. I need not go into the further intricacies of that. Important thing is that while the patient is being ready to be shifted to the hospital or the bed is not available, saturation is dropping, even with oxygen you are not able to maintain saturation, just make the person on his belly with the help of some pillows and you would see that oxygen will improve by 5 to 10%. Some people are very fat, they are not able to do that, just put them on the side, which is very easy. That also leads to improvement in the oxygenation. Now, coming to the plasma. Anything new in the COVID creates a storm. Anything new. You say anything and it will hit the headline. Similarly, plasma. What is plasma of a convalescent person? It contains preformed antibodies. So as far as the COVID is concerned, the antibodies, which is IgM, is formed after the first 7 days, and IgG antibodies are formed after 14 days. Till that time, antibodies are not there. So if you give preformed antibodies to a patient who is critically ill, so you are sort of sending an army to the fight a battle. This is the concept. So the question is, who can donate the plasma? Number one, that he should be confirmed patient of COVID. Second, that he should be completely recovered from COVID. He should have 2 RT-PCR negative, and then 1 month should have elapsed from his COVID infection, and he must not have received long-term steroid therapy because that compromises immunity. And in the laboratory, the titer should be at least 1 in 160. It is also a question is asked whether person who is vaccinated will also have antibodies. Can he donate plasma? No.